What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the third album by rapper The Game. Basically this product is called L.A.X. and it came out in the summer of 2008. So the fair about this product here is originally this was a particular fair about, I remember this particular album having something to do with like a trilogy as far as those fairs going to happen with the game, as far as those aspects going to happen. Particularly within the fair, the game was going to drop this earlier in 2008, pitches like that. It was kind of the fair. He went to prison in 2008, some of those type products. There were some aspects as to why it got delayed. Now, particularly the game took off 2007 minus some mixtape type fair within the pitch because he had dropped Doctor's Advocate late 2006, pitches like that. That kind of did some good jobs within the pitch, but the fair about that album within the aspect behind it was just the factoid. It's just kind of the factoid as far as saying that this didn't have the same crest of like chart appeals like the documentary did, which is typically seems like a new era classic, at least as of the 2000s type fair back in those days. But yeah, Doctor's Advocate didn't have Dr. Dre or Doctor's Advocate didn't have Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Eminem, some of those type folks, but it's still a pretty excellent type album. Just didn't have the full bounce on a chart appeal pitches like that. But this particular album continues that aspect. This one doesn't have Dr. Dre or any of those type folks on here either. But it's not a bad type album. It's just kind of the pitch that the game once again proves that he's able to do it within the fair. But it's just kind of the aspect that for some strange reason, the rote type effect that folks like 50 Cent and Eminem had back in 2005 is not on this album either. It's just kind of the pitch as far as saying it's just the aspect that the game, this album was an album that kind of got delayed a number of times. It was supposed to come out like in June of 2008, then it got pushed to August of 2008, some of those type fairs, but it's kind of the pitch that the initial type product was this was an album that kind of had a little bit of mishap with coming out as far as this pitch can happen, just within the aspect as far as saying that back in these days, the late 2000s type fair, a lot of times major labels would delay albums pitches like that if they did not have like a mammoth type single that was like, hey, this has to be like, this happened with 3 6 Mafia around this time. It feels, in my opinion, it felt like the Last to Walk album from the summer of 2008 barely came out, and it was only really because of Lolly Lolly Pop That Body. There's some other type ones on there when you think of like the G-Unit second album, like Terminate on Sight, barely came out within certain type senses. That was a real kind of grit and gruesome type project to get to come out as far as this pitch going to happen. Just a number of those type fairs within the pitch as far as those aspects going to go. There were some other type ones that get, G-Unit, Jazzy kind of went through some delays within certain type pitches. Not to say it's full bound, it's just kind of pitch that particular album only came out because of the hit success of Put On, some of those type fairs. So it's just kind of pitch a lot of these particular folks, just the whiplash as to what particularly happened between those aspects. There were just a lot of folks that like singles were just not being paid attention to, and the game was kind of struck by this as well, just within the conduct. But luckily he did have some chart appeal, just cresting. I feel like, the first couple singles like Games, Pain, and Dope Boy, some of these didn't chart as heavily, but particularly the game kind of more or less rode Lil Wayne's coattails of his success at the summer 2008 pitches like that with the My Life song, which I want to say hit like, that was a top 25 single on the Billboard 100 pitches like that. So it's just kind of the pitch as far as saying, if you liked Lil Wayne around that time, this was another extra affluence to kind of get within those products as far as just something within that company. Now, really the truth behind it is Lil Wayne is not really on the song My Life. He doesn't drop a verse on there, and like his Carter 3 Days, he's just kind of on the chorus, but still some excellent type appeal to get that as like an offshoot type song. I like when that sort of thing happens. Just kind of when you think of like Tupac in 96 being on a song that he could have done that helped bolster someone in 96, or Lil Wayne in 2008 when he was megaton popular, Drake in 2009, Eminem in 2002 or 2000, some of those type fairs pitches like that, or 2009, some of those type pitches with the aspect, but it's kind of the tone, but definitely works for what it is. I look after here, but yeah, this album kind of had like its mishaps more or less, like the conduct as to how it appropriately kind of came out, kind of more or less within the aspect, but it is a classic. I recommend every one of the songs on here. In an eventual sense, I'm going to review the deluxe edition because there's 4 extra songs, but I didn't want to go to the trouble as full bound. This probably would have been a pretty mammoth type review within the pitch, but out of these 17 songs in here, recommend all 17. There's 20 songs on this, including the bonus song Ain't Fucking With You that's on the iTunes edition, as well as a bonus type song. So within the pitch, recommend all 17. 3 skits out of the 3 interludes within those aspects. That's as far as those tones go. So I just look within the pitch as far as saying, but yeah, this is an excellent aspect. I mean, I look within the quality. So the cat just went to the bathroom in my room. There's a litter box in here, but it's just the pitch as far as saying, so it's going to be kind of a variety if I do have some pauses, but just the pitch as far as saying, I just look within the product as far as saying here, kind of within the aspect as far as these tones going to happen. I just had to say within the aspect of it that the particular pitch about it here, this is an excellent game album. There's a lot of good boisterous type productions on here. There's some surprising type ones that just kind of look within the pitch of the game being given the leg room to kind of have some extra tight fares, but it's just kind of pitch. I think the stubbornness of the general set of folks that just kind of like Game better when he was on songs like How We Do and Hate It or Love It and Dreams and some of those type ones within the pitch, just kind of the fair as far as saying that the game does have more to offer within those pitches, just kind of the format that it just happens, it's the same thing that happened with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg typically is kind of marred with like the concept of his best album and most notable album always within those pitches being seen as Doggy Style, despite the fact that he does have some other type hits like RNG and the Blue Carpet Treatment, and Last Meal is pretty good with those singles, and like No Limit, Top Dog is pretty good within some type pitches, Malice in Wonderland, some of these type ones within these aspects. So it's just kind of fair, but it's just kind of the aspect that just that initial. So it's just more what you're paying attention to with this particular hit album by the game. Is just more the aspect of just digging through some of these album cuts and pitches like that, because it's just not as much of a commercial full bound type success. But I would just kind of flip the birds, pitches like that. Just kind of say it's some good success rates on here. It's just quality type music, just minus the fact of just having like those hit type ones that were just back in those days. But there are some fun singles off this product. Like Games Pain is kind of a like uncommon type one. It's kind of one that had like relative popularity, but this is kind of underappreciated. It's just kind of a makeshift type grab. There's actually a pretty malaise type album. I was actually surprised as to how dark and harrowing is. This kind of aspect as far as saying a lot of this has a very simmering type aspect. It's not as much when you think of LAX kind of being like an airport for like California sunshine pitch like that. It's actually kind of in a lot darker and a harrow type aspect, more so than the full bound. Minus like a couple songs like Angel and Cali Sunshine, some of these type ones, it's really not as much like the same summer kind of ferocity, like when you think of like a 95, 96 album, when you think of like a 95, 96 album by Tupac or MC Hammer or Coolio, some of these type books within the aspects as far as these tones gonna happen, E40, Too Short, some of these type aspects. This really has like some demolish. This particular album really has like some demolish and just overall like forlornness about it. It's this excellent type of ordeal. It's definitely like the pitch. Talking about that, but yeah, there were 3 singles off this product. Now there is a 4th single that's on the deluxe edition. Like I said, I'll probably review that later. But Games Pain is the lead single off this product, which did decently. I think maybe like a top 65 or top 80 single somewhere in their pitches like that. But Games Pain is like a good Cali fried kind of makeshift push, and like Games Pain is like a good Cali fried kind of makeshift push to kind of get here to some 2000s sparkle. I'd say on like an old songs like some 2000s sparkle and like an old 90s kind of Cali, I'd say within pitches like that. Just kind of get out and have some day grit as far as those pitch counts. So just miss the aspects, some of those type fares. It's actually pretty surprising about this song. The Games Pain was the top 75 singles. So it's just kind of pitch. This is a little bit of a tamer type song within pitch. It's kind of an interesting type one just because the aspect. I do feel like within certain senses, 50 Cent had some right to be able to. I remember 50 Cent saying back in the day that he said that the game could rap really well, but he just was not good at writing songs as far as these pitches going to happen. And this is more or less like the second fair as far as saying that within those pitches, kind of more relying on like Keisha Cole more so than the aspect of like. It's not to say that he couldn't have it, but it's just the aspect that it's kind of a dual commonplace where I feel like 50 Cent is kind of somewhat right within senses not to have anything against the game because this is a classic here, but it's just kind of pitch as far as the way 50 Cent would pump out some hit like Hate It or Love It or Disco Inferno or Out of Control Remix, some of those type ones within pitches. It's kind of fair that the game for the most part when you think of like his biggest songs, it just is uncommon to kind of, this is kind of the pitch when he would try to do that with like Doctor's Advocate with like the songs like Let's Ride and Wouldn't Get Far, some of those type pitches, it just didn't crest his full bound within that. But this is an excellent type song, just a little bit tamer within those aspects, but it's just kind of tone as far as saying they're just a good portion of some of these type ones. It's kind of the aspect of this like a good glimmer about this particular song as far as these pairs going to happen. I have a more glum type song, but I like the pitch behind it as far as these pairs going to happen. My Life is very similar to this song as well, but this is just a little bit more chart centric. Even though My Life out-charted Games Pain just has a little bit more pop appeal within those pitches behind it. Keisha Cole helps out with that, so this kind of pitch, just kind of a glum type song within the aspect of this like something that feels like something that would have been a single back in 95, 96, just the more 2008 type fast about. So it's just good type fair, just Cali kind of makeshift pitches like that, and like a glared kind of 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m. type sense. Dope Boys is a real nice song in here. There's some excellent type fare about this. This has Travis Barker who helps out. It's good, excellent type appeal. It's like a very crunked out, get rowdy in like a late 2000s kind of West Coast kind of jump, I'd say, within pitches like that. It's kind of party time type song pitches like that within some of these here. Another type song, this is kind of an interesting type one within a pitch because this kind of format of the game just kind of not giving a shit. Pitches like that is kind of getting tore up some of these type aspects. This interesting type tone within these tones as far as getting a song like this because for the most part, this is just kind of more of like a hangout kind of blitzer within pitches like that. This red cup type type music within the fare of like a single, which is a nice one within the pitch, but just the fare behind it, this was kind of more. I mean, this has some relative popularity. This actually does have over 30 million plays on Spotify, but this kind of pitch is just interesting type facet of the particular popularity of it. This is definitely, this one was the bubbling under 100 singles kind of popularity, but it's just kind of pitch. It's definitely one more in like a kind of word of mouth type commonplace, but it's excellent type appeals to get this. But yeah, smoke hella nice to this one, I'd say, within those ordeals. So good type song, definitely within pitch, pretty glaring, bopping type beat pitches like that, good for venue noise, some type aspects, nice nightclub song pitches like that. One of the anchors of this album, at least in terms of like the most relative popularity within these pitches. I'm not throwing digs to this album and say it's not good. It's just the pitch as far as saying just the casual commonplace of how likely you'd probably hear these not on XM radio or something like that. It's just not as full bound within those pitches. But My Life with Lil Wayne's the third single. This is the highest charting one. It was the top 22 single in the Billboard 100. This song's like a malaise kind of sunny evenings kind of get here, just a good swash kind of neighborhood tracks, pitches like that. Grab like some Doritos, things like that. I'd say just kind of like a good wheezy offshoot as far as what's going to happen. So just within the pitch, basically just like a glared type song, just the aspect of something to kind of listen to in like a very morose and doom-ed type setting, just with the aspect of something to kind of have for like 5 o'clock, 6:30 p.m. is like the sun setting. It just feels later in the day within the concept, like the pitch of like this is very much a summer album. It's just the dark grit about this particular album is just different from like some of the fares like when you would think of like Hate It or Love It, Sunshine, or How We Do, some of that ones just has a very just kind of like swamp type atmosphere within the pitch. There's a lot of songs off this album that kind of have that. Games, Pain, There's a lot of these type of songs on here like Games, Pain, My Life, Money, LAX Files, State of Emergency, some of these type ones with these pitches, but it's excellent type product to get these here. Do you like the swamp type aspects? This good type tone, but yeah, this being a wheezy offshoot, just kind of the product of like, hey, if you've been fucking with Carter 3 all summer, pitches like that, it's a good type product to kind of have Lil Wayne bolster the game a little bit, help him out with like the product to just like some good malaise. I mean, Lil Wayne did that pretty well with like Duffel Bag Boy, with Play a Circle around that time as well within those pitches, so it's just good type product to Lil Wayne being able to do some of these hooks and nail them pretty excellently. So it's just the pitch as far as getting towards that, but excellent type appeal. And some nice glare kind of sunshine pitches like that. That happens to be the product of this album. So just be able to say 10 out of 10 albums. So I'm just going to burn through some of these. I know this album pretty solidly well enough within these pitches. It's an album I have fucked with, so I do continue to fuck with it now as this pitches like that. A real excellent one on here would be Money. It's like an excellent kind of 80s flavor, kind of day traffic to get in like a Cali neon kind of sense. And normally when you think of neon, it's kind of more Miami fried pitches like that, but this is actually some Cali kind of seediness with an aspect, something like a Las Vegas and Miami type flavor, I'd say, with the aspects of it. This reminds like the song I Run by Slim Thug, which was kind of getting ready to be popular around this time, pitches like that. To some of that, kind of Push It to the Limit and I Run So Far Away, those type pitches within it. Kind of some imperative type moves. So it's just the game on like something that you would have caught out of like an 80s kind of new wave kind of motivate type song out of like 86 or 88, some of those type of appeals within those products, something that feels like it could be in like Miami Vice or Grand Theft Auto Vice City type fare, some of those type pitches within it, some of those type products, excellent type 80s flavor. Nice touch about this one as far as those aspects going to happen. Gentleman's Affair is a nice one as well. It's like a snazzy kind of step out polish, kind of get within the aspects of it. Just date, evening, and soiree type enjoy pitches like that. Just some extravagant fun. A little bit more hoity-toity within the aspects of this sort of conduct that this has like this kind of snazzier type aspect that Neo has. Gentleman's Affair is a good suave typeness to get with some of these particular type formats, similar to like some of these Neo songs that were kind of popping up in late 2000s pitches like that when you think of like She Got Her Own and some of those type pitches within the aspects. So it's just excellent type appeals within those products of it, excellent type appeal of it. It's good polish. There's actually 2 of these on the deluxe edition. There's also a Camera Phone as well, where he does another song with Neo, so some excellent type pitches there. A real standout type song off this album is Angel. Really like this one. This has Common on here, which is excellent type appeal. It's like a good sparking electro kind of night venue hop to get this feeling kind of razzled from like the smokage and ritzy and like a good aspect to some good looking nice pitches like that within the ordeals. Just kind of good soak in some ambience as far as those pitches can have. So just appreciate the appeal. Have some dance venue kind of shine pitches like that within those ordeals. There are a few of these type of songs on here. It has a good type variety of having like some extra type moments to have some enjoyment. A real nice song on here that has some heat about it. I'm surprised that there weren't more songs like this on here. Is Cali Sunshine. This has Bilal on here, who's kind of an uncommon hook artist. He's kind of an R&B singer. I used to fuck with him a little bit back in those days. Good type fare. Cake and Eat It too is a pretty good song by him within those pitches. But yeah, Cali Sunshine's like a good typical kind of hot ass day and enjoyment to kind of get within the products of it. There's some 90s Cali and like a new kind Cali Sunshine's like some 90s Cali kind of fare in like a new late 2000s kind of sense, pitches like that. I'd say it's a good bop to kind of have. So just the product of something that you probably would have caught in like a hot day in like 93 or 95 stones type pitches, but just like a 2008, 2009 rendition as far as those assets going to have. So just good type pitch. I like that particular factoid about the game this time is there are some songs in here where he kind of messes with folks from like the prime era as far as saying him remembering like those times in 91 and 94, but just kind of bringing that to like a new marketplace as far as saying even if like, by that point, Ice Cube was 40, Tupac was deceased, Coolio was past his prime zones, that pitch is just getting that particular format as far as like the carrying of the torch, as far as like the next eras, as far as doing that, giving you some nostalgia, but kind of saying this is like the new rendition of it as far as accepting like the passage of like the next moves as far as those pitch caps is not. It's just kind of more for like the folks that have like that nostalgia for like 91, thinking that Cali never was going to be as good as like 91 or 92 or 93 kind of the pitch, like the game having some of these type of moments that continues that particular spark back. So it's just some good type of appeal. There's some songs like State of Emergency, like some songs like Cali Sunshine, State of Emergency that kind of do this within these particular type fares. Other pitches like that, I'd probably say Dope Boys kind of does that. There's some other type ones in here I'll probably list within some type products, but just some of those type ones. LAX Files kind of does that. Never Can Say Goodbye, some of those type pitches. So this kind of format is very much Cali flavor within those pitches. Excellent type ordeals, but yeah. This particular song, Cali Sunshine, is a good bop for some of that. So good type ordeals. State of Emergency is real nice as well. This has Ice Cube on there. State of Emergency has Ice Cube on there who helps out, good type pitch. It's like a throwback to early 90s kind of initial gangster rap with like a late 2000s sheen, I'd say, about the aspects behind it. Just kind of some glaze about it. So yeah, once again, just like some of this particular swamp tightness about it here. It's that in-between kind of dimness and glimmer of like songs like Games, Pain, and My Life. Songs that pitches just with like the format of like the next moves to Cali within those pitches. It kind of feels like with an aspect, I mean, you wouldn't think that California was quite as wounded around this time. This just has a little bit more of like a snared kind of like this like kind of almost upside down type format, and it's just interesting within the format as to what particularly the swampness as to where that pain kind of came from within these aspects. So just look after it. Really, the game was doing pretty well in 2006. So it's just kind of pitch as far as saying this the swamp typeness. This is a very welcome type product. This is a personal type album within these pitches, very similar to like the aspect of how Eminem kind of was on Relapse and Tech 9 kind of was on KOD, some of these type pitches, but it's this kind of format that the particular aspect is just kind of an interesting tone about this album, because this is probably one of the darker game albums that I can think of. Like from what I remember, the Red album, which is the next album after this one, was not like this. Doctor's Advocate wasn't like this either. That was just a real kind of rebuke, middle fingers raised like Tupac on Ambitions of Variety type fare and hit him up, some of those type pitches, and the documentary was just a vanilla kind of rap album. This one's like a real swamp type one. The more I think about it, it's just very broody in this aspect, just like done. Just really has like some aspects that just kind of torment on it, which is interesting type pitches. Just differential. When I fucked with this album back in the day, I didn't catch this as much. So it's just kind of pitch for us in, but it really is like that, to be able to say. But I look after it. Nice one on here is Letter to the King. This is like a floaty and Lost in a Daze kind of extra thought to kind of get here. Just kind of smoke good, I'd say, within this one, but it's kind of a real talk bit as well as far as these pitches going to happen. Letter to the King is talking about Martin Luther King as far as those pitches going to happen. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying just some extra type thought. I like this particular fare. This is a good example of like a wholesome type song that nails the particular appeal. This aspect to actually write into the former Martin Luther King, the deceased Martin Luther King that the holiday is named after within some type pitch is just kind of format as far as getting towards it, just kind of in a bit for that. Just as far as like some spare thought within some of type products. So just kind of pitch as far as saying the easy nice one to burn a few two pitches like that. Real excellent song on here was You Heard. This has a pretty actual late shift kind of ludicrous features, kind of the pitch as far as saying he was starting to get a lot quieter by the time he started getting to late 2007, 2008, 2009. This kind of pitch as far as that typical kind of boisterous ludicrous type appeal with a real jumping type beat. Really like this one. This is one I used to fuck with pretty well. This song You Heard is like a red hot kind of summer blaze, fun and exuberant. The song You Heard is like a red hot kind of summer blaze, kind of get within the products of it here, just a fun and exuberant kind of any bounce. I would definitely say just have like some Cool Ranch Doritos and Swishers, some of those type pitches within it. Just have like some Cool Ranch Doritos and Swishers within the products within it. Some of those type fares, just good two-step type song pitches like that. So this kind of a boisterous type one. It's probably one of the funner type songs off the sound within the pitch, like the aspect, it's like some jubilance about it. Kind of within the fare, just kind of one that just a little bit more spastic and carefree within the pitch behind, which is excellent type fare, just kind of the pitch about it, but definitely a good example, like some summer sunshine pitches like that. Ludacris does pretty well in this song as well. Good type pitch, get him on like a late shift type song pitches like that, kind of spastic type one. I actually prefer this song, the one that's on the Games album, to the one that the Game and Ludacris combination that was on Ludacris's Theater of Mind. That this song just nails it better than the one on Ludacris sounds. It's just good pitches like that. Touchdown is pretty blistering highlight as well. It's like a great slurred and kind of woozy, kind of clean success, kind of get within the aspects of it here. Just some after hours kind of drifting, I'd say, within the product. Just kind of not just after hours, me talking like 10 or 11 pitches like that. Probably more 3 or 4 in the morning. Some of those type pairs within the aspect. Just real clean success pitches like that. Just ice cold kind of bell of fit as far as this pair is going to happen. Beautiful hook by Raheem Devon. Some of these type pitches within the aspects of it here. Just real nice blistering type of PL. Now, I would almost say within certain senses this could have been a single, but it's this kind of aspect as far as saying probably I just think that Raheem Devon's a little bit more the cat Raheem Devon's a little bit more of like an uncommonplace kind of hook artist, so it's kind of within the appeal as far as saying, but this kind of pitch probably is kind of in could be single type territory, but it's just very low key. It's a real affable type one. To be honest, so yeah, there's good some good type fares. Real excellent type one out this album is House of Pain. This is one I rock with pretty well back in the day. It's real swamp type appeal. It's like a nice zombie. House of Pain is like a nice zombie-like kind of demonized kind of get here. Just get hella turnt, I'd say, within the aspects of it. Just kind of some doomsday kind of crunk. I would definitely feel like here. Just kind of one that just really feels mortifying pitch like that, like the appeal behind it. It's kind of like a good house party snare kind of get within it. Sounds like a good house party snare to get within these aspects. So this kind of pitch some of those type of PLs. Within the commonplace, this is like a pretty good combination with Dope Boy as far as this pitch can happen. This one's a little bit more mortifying within the aspect, but I do like the tone as far as saying about Dope Boys and House of Pain. House of Pain just kind of has that particular tone I dislike. It's really like the Doom-Ed type aspect of House of Pain within those tones, but Dope Boy, some of these type ones are just some turn-up type ones. So this kind of pitch kind of switching between like these swamp type ones within aspect, like some of the morose type conduct, then you have songs like Cali, Sunshine, and you heard some of those type products, and Angel, some of those type pitch. So this is kind of fair, but it does have some of that on here, just the pitch of like more morose type fit. It's too bad that B-Roll wasn't on this album. He probably should have been on here, some of those type ones, but for the most part, this is some pretty good Cali blistering pitches like that. I don't think I've talked about LAX files, but this is a nice one as well. It's like a good real talk kind of pseudo ballad to kind of get within the aspects of it. Just a grand push along and grit, I'd have to say, within the products of it here. Typical kind of doom-ed kind of day fare as far as these pitch kind of happen. So within the particular product, this one's pretty similar to Games Pain, some of those particular LAX files pretty similar to Games Pain, some of those particular type swamp typenesses of just like the aspect like a push along, like a makeshift type sense, just with like the more flair of just like a upside down type sense. It's more just about like the harrow and grease of it within the aspects. It's kind of this where work's kind of a bitch, this kind of personal type fare that just is really kind of, it's got a lot of birds to flip pitches like that. It's kind of aspect just like fuck it. It's kind of pissed off. I mean, not so much pissed off in like the Tupac ride type fashion, but just more in like it's kind of more glum and blue within, more kind of Drake kind of swamped outness, where it just kind of has like the more personal kind of swamped outness, the way Eminem and Tech Nine would kind of vent about things, just more in a passive type sense, more than the full bound kind of ride up, get angry and just feel ravenous about within pitch like Tupac and some of those type folks. Trying to think of some other type ones that do that. I used to say like Tupac and Outlaws, some of those type folks within the pitch, but it's good type fares getting this. But LAX Files is kind of a good morose type one. The bonus song, which is definitely worth tracking down the iTunes Deluxe Edition, is Ain't Fucking With You. This is a nice one. This reminds like the Doctor's Advocate days, I'd say here. It feels like a Jelly Roll type beat. Not Jelly Roll the country singer, but there's two Jelly Rolls. That used to get me tripped up back in the days, thinking the Jelly Roll from the Cali days was the Jelly Roll from like the country artist, but they're different ones. So it's just kind of pitched like it's not a Jelly Roll beat, but has similarities to some of those type folks. Like feels like a Jelly Roll or Superfly type beat, one of those Cali producers pitches like that, I'd say. But yeah, it's like it's like some glittery kind of cater music, I'd say here, for divas pitch like that. Good to grab some goodies, have those spilled out as far as those pitch can happen. Just a lit type one as far as those pitch can happen. Just kind of within the product, just some good type After Effects of product, just hangout type sesh, goes long, a little bit more of like a commonplace type one compared to Gentleman's Affair, some of those type pitches, but goes pretty well with like Angel, some of those type ones within the pitch behind it, so good type fares. Never Can Say Goodbye is nice as well. This has a particular swamp type aspect, like a good portion of this album. Excellent type fare about it. The song, I do like the intro bits talking about the initial type conduct to how the announcements were made about Tupac and Eazy-E and Biggie's death. Some of those type folks in the aspect of it there. It's like a harrowing and real talk kind of day grit to kind of get within the products of it here. Just a darker version of My Life. Some of those type pitches. Just kind of a haunty type song within pitch. That's kind of an uncommon word to use within those pitches. Is haunty, not haunted or haunting, but actually haunty. Like when you say haunty or cunty, something like that, but it's kind of the pitch as far as saying just the product as far as those pairs gonna have excellent type pitch for that swampness. Then Bulletproof Diaries is a nice one as well. This has a particular hustle type flair. Minus the song Money, there's actually not a ton of just kind of amidst the day shift. I mean, there's some of those type ones in a more personal kind of slump type sense, but in terms of like the actual grit of getting towards some of those type products, it's like the closest thing. Bulletproof Diary is like the closest thing apart from money. It's like amidst like the night shift hustle product, kind of get within the aspects of it here. Then the aspects of it here, just get in motion, have a good song to get in motion, drink some of that pitches within the legality of it, not to drive and drink, but just the pitch, drink some within the day fare, just the push behind it. It's kind of in grind mode as far as those pitch can have, so just to miss the product, just more in the late shift, probably work type mode past 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock p.m. pitches like that, but just some good type fares. Raekwon is on this particular song, which is an interesting type choice within the aspect with some good type flair about it. And I think the last song I haven't talked about on here is Let Us Live, which is a nice one as well. It says Chrisette Michelle is pretty good flair about this. It's like a lofty kind of night venue, kind of extra thought to kind of get within the products of it here. Good basic kind of this particular song, some good basic kind of ambience and chat, I would say, within the products as far as those tones can have them. Just have to be a good, nice song to have like a cold drink and gel as far as those pitch can have. So just to miss the aspects as far as those tones can have. So just some of these type of products, just a little bit more of like a lazier kind of ambient type version of Angel as far as those pitch can have, but it's just good within the product of it. Just some of these night venue type fares. So like some type pitch. So yeah, I give this album 10 out of 10 within the blistering typeness, easy kind of sparkiness, just the aspect of it here. The swamp type fashions really hit the nail pretty heavily. Social score is going to get, like, I would say the social score would get a 10 out of 10, but it's kind of the pitch as far as saying it's just the product of how much commonplace, the variety you're willing to give the game in terms of leeway. I recognize that this album does not have like the number ones, the number threes, like the casual type smashes, but Dope Boys is a pretty classic. That's kind of a career standout for game in terms of like a more commonplace type fare for folks, what they might listen to apart from like documentary things like that. Not to say the game, I mean the game has far more than just those songs, but within the pitch it just feels like the more years that passes, it's kind of the fare that nowadays it just is kind of, you get the commonplace of people you get the commonplace of people picking out and hand picking their favorite songs by him. It's just kind of the pitch that, you know, within the fare, to say nowadays the game never really got back to the chart appeal that he had initially in 2005. So it's just kind of pitch as far as saying later albums like OKE, Operation Kill Everything, Jesus Peace, The Red Album, you know, like Documentary 2, some of these type of pitches, just further game products. None of these game products ever got to the fare that he had in 2005. So it's just kind of pitch as far as him. It's not to say he isn't good. It's just the pitch that it's just that continued commonplace that he was just always plagued by that. But I'm going to give the social score of this album a 10 out of 10 because I just would say fuck it, because this is a classic here and I don't give a shit as far as this pitch can have. So just excellent type ordeals. I do like these swamp type songs. I do like these harrowing and swamp type songs with an aspect. I do like this kind of more defined and kind of more zombie-like flavor about this album as far as these pitches can have just an after effect to like carrying on traditions for like the prime of 90s Cali, getting it to like some new type renditions, pitches like that. It's kind of the aspect of getting like prime era California and pitting it in like 2008, 2009, so some good type appeals, good type products for that. Some of these floaty kind of venue songs pitches like that, so the game does step out on here within the pitch. It's not as full bound like getting shit faced within those products. It does have those moments, but surprisingly there's not as much like a full bound kind of tear up type sense. I think it's just kind of within the fare, but just kind of within the product of it. Some of these personal type songs in terms of like a makeshift type sense, there is a little bit of hustle on here. There's a little bit of standard push within like get along to like day fare target runs and standard pitches like that. It doesn't as full bound kind of promote doesn't as full bound kind of promote like Starbucks, Target, some of those places, but it's just kind of within the product just doing that in like a Cali type sense. So it's just kind of the aspect of getting something with the after effects of what Tupac and Ice Cube, some of those type folks would have done in 93, 94, more in 2008, 2009. So just continues those aspects as far as doing it. So good type product. I'm going to give it a 10 social. So in terms of the future, the game has put out some further type products within the pitch. I think he dropped some recent type ones. The last I checked, he was working on the Documentary 3 or something like that, but he's dropped some recent type albums, pitches like that. I know he did get into a minor beef with Eminem back in 2022, some of those type pitches, so it's just kind of format as far as saying some of those type fares. But I'm going to get some more of these game type products. I actually have another mixtape that's coming along the way later as far as those pitches can happen. But classic album here, very swamped and morose pitch like that. It's an interesting type product of an album that has more torment than I remembered it for back in the day, but excellent type classic here.